feel like confidence really helps us slow down. It helps us feel like we're more in control of the chaos that comes with motherhood, regardless of how many children you have, regardless of whether you work from home, you stay home with your babies, or you work outside of the home. I think that it helps us be intentional and present with our time and just our thoughts in general. I think it also helps us take action. I am a firm believer and just like with my whole self believe that action breeds confidence.
Hey guys, hope you're having an awesome week so far. I've got another exciting episode for you today. Beth Isbell is here talking all about the confidence code and sharing some amazing tips for women and mom about how putting themselves first can actually benefit everybody else. You know, we hear that common phrase, you can't pour from an empty cup. She really breaks that down for us today. So we have an awesome conversation. She has just so much insight to this, of how you can feel better about yourself. You can wake up excited for the day. And I just think everyone should take some of her advice. So I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this episode. And of course, stick around for the very end. We have our Mom Tales of the Week, and that's where we read off different questions on our social media and share some of our favorite answers that you provide us with. This is a good one. You won't want to miss it. So without further ado, here's my interview with Beth Isbell. So for those that don't know that are listening, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and we'll kind of go from there.
Well, I am currently a work from home mom. I have and wife. I have a 3-year-old daughter and a almost 4-month-old little boy. So I'm in the trenches of navigating motherhood of now 2, which is really, well, there's lots of feelings that come with that, right? Like fun, exciting, all of the things. I'm very sleep deprived. So hopefully everything we chat about today makes a lot of sense. But I currently run an online health and fitness coaching business, and then just recently launched my course, The Confidence Code. I haven't always been, this definitely is not the way that I saw my life panning out. I used to think that I wasn't sure that I wanted to become a mother. I was very career focused and driven. I worked in the higher education setting. I have a bachelor's, a master's, 3/4 of a PhD completed. And I was on the fast track of this plan, that kind of corporate plan that I had created to get my doctorate, work for the university that I was getting my doctorate from, all of the things. Decided to have babies, and my life completely shifted and changed, of course, for the better. I think it's just true testimony that no matter how much we try to actually control about our lives, we're only in control of so much. So definitely not how I saw my life panning out to be or to look like, but definitely very thankful and blessed for it. So
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I feel like we can only plan so much sometimes, and then life kind of comes at us different ways that we don't always see. But it's cool because I feel like what you're doing now was kind of derived from becoming a mom, and your kind of journey and how you can inspire women through that. So it's kind of cool.
I also like to say that, since I worked in higher ed and all of my degrees are in the education realm, I still feel like an educator, just in a much different capacity. And you're totally right to assume that motherhood kind of sparked this new kind of passion and honestly just joy-filled purpose that I get to do every day. So
I'm curious because, we're going to talk about the confidence code that you share with so many women. I think it's just an awesome topic because I think a lot of women in general, but especially moms, when they enter a new stage of life, deal with, feeling insecure or have, they kind of lost some confidence in themselves. So I definitely want to get to that. But starting off, how did you deal, or do you currently deal with mom shaming? I know a lot of moms deal with mom shaming just from different aspects. And I think a lot of it can come from, being insecure or having differences of opinion or bullying. And so how do you yourself deal with that?
Fortunately, I don't really deal with mom shaming a lot. Unwarranted advice on social media, yes, always. But I think that just comes from the power and kind of protecting your energy and staying in control over kind of who you let in. Not saying that maybe it is more present in my life than I even realized, but I kind of have blinders onto it. or blinders on as far as like paying attention to it, because like exactly what you said, I think confidence plays a big role in it. I feel like I'm constantly reminding myself, when I maybe do come across a situation like that, that if somebody is, especially a mother, is shaming another mother, or a woman is shaming another woman, it comes from one of maybe a couple different places, right? Maybe they feel inadequate or insecure in their own parenting abilities, or their own season of life that they're in. Maybe they're looking for validation or recognition in some capacity, or they're frustrated with their own situation. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with them. And obviously that's way easier said than done to truly believe that. But I think if you consistently over time can kind of protect your energy around, just having true confidence in who you are as a human, who you are as a woman, and who you are as a mother, then staying laser focused on those moving pieces, so that if, and probably more than likely when, you feel like someone is maybe shaming you or putting you down or judging you, it doesn't really phase you, because you feel completely unwavered in who you are and how you live your life and how you parent, and all of those kind of moving pieces. So yeah, I think it just comes down to that. I think it comes down to the power in protecting your own energy and having unwavering confidence in who you are, and how you live your life.
Yeah, I think that's so important. What you just said too is like almost having blinders on to be like, I'm doing a good job. This is what is working for my family. They don't live in my house, and so I think that's so powerful, because I think so many times, and I was just talking on another podcast about this, so many times, like, as new moms, you go into like the Facebook group, you ask one question and you get 50 opinions. And so if you go into that group, you open for all these opinions, they're going to be like even more confused. So it's almost better to have a basis of what makes sense for you, and then open yourself up if you need some advice, but close it off to the unwelcome thought.
Yes, for sure.
And so you kind of veered into this with your answer on the last question, but so why is it so important to have confidence in yourself as a woman, as a mother, and so much more?
Yeah, I think so many reasons, right? I think that having confidence, I think oftentimes confidence kind of can have kind of a skewed definition, or maybe not even skewed necessarily, but it can mean lots of different things. So for me, as it relates to especially being a woman and being a mother, I feel like confidence really helps us slow down. It helps us feel like we're more in control of the chaos that comes with motherhood, regardless of how many children you have, regardless of whether you work from home, you stay home with your babies, or you work outside of the home. I think that it helps us be intentional and present with our time, and just our thoughts in general. I think it also helps us take action. I am a firm believer, and just like with my whole self believe that action breeds confidence. And I think that we paralyze ourselves from taking action because of a lack of confidence, and it turns into this kind of vicious cycle. I think confidence also forces us as mothers to keep ourselves as our top priority, so that then we can better serve our families, which is what we all really want. But oftentimes I think what we feel like, it feels impossible. Like, how can I possibly give the best of myself to my family and not just the rest of myself, when I have all of these moving pieces of my life that I'm trying to excel in or succeed in, or honestly, most days just keep my head above water in. And so just really learning and understanding and having confidence in knowing that I can live every day with intent, that I don't have to be everything for everybody, but that if I can be enough for myself, then I can best serve those that I love and that I do want to serve.
I love that. I love you talk about being the best and not just giving the rest. It's like a cool slogan almost. But yeah, because, I think so many times we kind of neglect ourselves, thinking that if we give everything to everyone else, that's going to help everyone. But in the long run, it's not going to help them or ourselves, because we're just kind of giving the scraps, kind of what we can manage to give, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think we also become so conditioned to living from that space that we don't even realize that we're doing it. It's a habit, it's a pattern, it's a behavior that, because being a mother is such a selfless job, we just become so conditioned to behaving in that space that it feels literally impossible do it, to act any different way, or to even feel like we can give ourselves any more than what we are.
And so I'm curious, like, you kind of talk about like your journey, how you didn't always know if you wanted kids, you were in higher education, and then you decided to have kids. So I'm wondering, like, was there a turning point, like either after having kids or pre-kids, where you kind of decided to kind of go this confidence route, kind of make yourself better? Or was this something that you kind of always kind of had this in your back pocket? Like, kind of what was your journey to that?
I definitely feel like it's been a progressive journey, right? Like I feel like I really started in the trenches of this journey to, as cliche as it sounds, like becoming my best self in lots of different ways about 6 years ago, which obviously was before I had children. But I think kind of what it's morphed into today was absolutely triggered, by having children. But I think at the end of the day, regardless of what season I'm kind of referencing here, as far as this progression is concerned, it came down to me just feeling tired, tired
Mhm.
of kind of waking up every day and dreading going into the day, whether it was because I was tired of the rat race of the corporate world and, being a new wife and feeling like I didn't have time for anything except work and, keeping my home. Tired of, I think this is a big one, tired of living my life for other people. That felt really exhausting to me. I am a people pleaser. I am an Enneagram 3, if you're familiar. So I'm like labeled as the achiever. And yeah, I feel like I spent the majority of my life up to this point checking the boxes, doing the things that I was supposed to be doing, hence the 3 degrees and the career and like this perfect little path that I had laid out for myself. That was really exhausting. I was tired of feeling insecure because I didn't even really know what Beth wanted and what Beth needed out of life, what Beth's like true passion and aspirations and dreams were. Tired of feeling out of control, right? And I think that even though I started this journey, what I feel like was 6 years ago before I became a mom, I think that exhaustion from all of those moving pieces of feeling like you're not being intentional with your time, the rat race of life, the chaos of motherhood, the fear of judgment, the living your life, kind of checking the boxes and going through the motion space. I feel like, and what I kind of, where the confidence code came from was me feeling like there's systems and strategies that you can implement to not feel this way through every season of life. But that's the kicker, right? Is that life is always going to be happening. We are constantly, whether we recognize it or not, transitioning and moving through new seasons, whether it is pregnancy, postpartum, motherhood of 2 now, postpartum again, whether you're, work corporately, or maybe you're coming home to stay home with babies, or, going back to work after maternity leave. Like, we have to be equipped with the strategy to navigate life as it comes. It's not a one and done type of a thing. And so I definitely think that my journey throughout, this process has definitely been progressive, but it definitely has always come back to, through every season of this progression, me just feeling tired and exhausted and feeling desperate to just take back control over my life.
Mhm.
And knowing that, kind of coming to terms with the fact that if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so I feel like through every stage, there's kind of been a turning point, if you will, throughout every season. That was kind of like, okay, I'm tired of feeling tired. Something needs to change. And so then that, has triggered another layer of my journey. And then a new season, I'm tired of feeling tired of fill in the blank. That triggered, another layer. So it's definitely a progressive journey that comes down to me just feeling tired of feeling tired.
Yes. No, I love that, because I think so many people get comfortable with the idea, and like, especially like I'm a people pleaser too. And like, I always say like I'm a recovering one, because like I've gotten a way better at saying no and stuff. But like my whole life, it was like, you do things for other people. Even if you don't want to, you do this, or even, and it's so hard as you get comfortable, like, okay, well, my purpose is to please everyone. Who cares about myself? And so we have to learn to be kind of like our own cheerleader in a way first, and then, kind of listen to our body and be in tune with that. So those are amazing points that you said, that we kind of have control over that, to be like, hey, okay, what am I sick of? What's making me tired? How can I change it? And knowing you have the power to change it.
Yeah. And I think that's a big point right there too, is that I feel like a lot of us kind of go through life unaware of kind of that meaning making process of our experiences and understanding what we truly are in control of, which then leads us to believe that kind of that it is what it is mentality. It is what it is. This is just my life. This is just the way that I am. This is just the way God made me. Like, how many times have you maybe,
Mhm.
told yourself that or reiterated that to yourself, when honestly that's just our subconscious mind convincing us that we are okay with feeling complacent and not truly joyful and happy and intentional.
That like speaks to me so much because I think so many times it's like once you kind of find that thing that makes you happier and you're like that little change, you're like, oh wait, I can keep doing this. Like I can start finding more and more things. And I think for us people pleasers that grew up always being people pleasers, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. We're like, oh wait, there's a whole world out there. There's other things we can do. So with the confidence code, you said, obviously it's like been like a work in progress. So what was like the day for you or the month for you or year for you that you were like, I'm going to turn this into an actual process for other women to inspire women and help them? And like, when did like confidence code become a thing?
Confidence code became a thing about 6 weeks ago. It's still a super new little baby of mine. And it came from a space of, so like I mentioned previously, when I kind of introduced myself, I have been doing online health and fitness coaching, specifically with women. Majority of my clients are moms since becoming a mom for about 5.5 years now. And I started that kind of journey because I had been on kind of desperation of this desperate seeking kind of I've always struggled with food and nutrition and feeling like I was the only human on the planet that just could not figure out how to feel confident in my skin and in my clothes. But still, I really love food. So how can like still eat all the foods that I love, but feel confident in my clothes and all of the things. And I really came to a turning point about 5.5 years ago where I was like, I'm the only person that can't figure this out. If I'm eating healthy, I'm bitter and I'm mad because I want to be eating all the things I love. And if I'm eating all the things I love, then I feel guilt and shame for not eating like I know I should be. And just kind of this back and forth. And so I started on this kind of personal journey to trying to figure it out. That's kind of really where my growth journey started, was in regards to fitness and nutrition. And once I kind of found a solution, I was desperate to help other women figure that out too, because I wanted other women to feel the way that I was feeling. And like I said, this was pre-baby. So I've navigated that through motherhood as well. And what I've noticed over the past 5.5 years, and what has come to be of the confidence code, is that it's never really about the tools or the strategy that we don't have as to why we can't figure something out or why we can't make progress. For example, in this situation, it was never because I didn't know how to work out or what to eat. Like, I know that I shouldn't eat pizza 5 nights a week. Everybody knows that. It wasn't because I didn't know what to do or what not to do, but it was because I wasn't addressing the real problem, which was my head, my mindset, my perspective of why did I want and need to eat healthier and exercise and move my body and drink more water and eat less Bluebell ice cream. I was so focused on like the tangibility of the process of the things that I was supposed to or not supposed to be doing, that I wasn't addressing the root cause of why making these changes were important to me. And so, once I started to do that work and I started to help my clients do that work, it just kind of morphed into, what started as helping women on their health and fitness journey has turned into, me really wanting to help them address the root cause of why they feel inequipped or incapable of taking action in a way that's going to allow them to feel more confident in who they are, if that makes any sense at all. And, what I've learned throughout the course of, years of doing this work is that we convince ourselves that we have to feel a certain way before we start to do something, whether it is in regards to a health and fitness journey, or whether it's in regards to starting a business, or even something that feels as small as like speaking up in a work meeting at work. We feel like we have to feel a certain way. We have to just, snap our fingers and have the confidence that we need, or the courage that we need, or whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you specifically struggle with, when really it's quite the opposite. We have to know who it is that we're wanting to become or what it is that we're wanting to do. And we have to show up as her right now. And through taking that type of action, we're able to cultivate kind of that unwavering confidence in ourselves to then it's like this beautiful progressive cycle instead of waiting to feel confident to take action, and then because we're not taking action we don't build our confidence. It's the complete opposite. It's we take action, we kind of make a little deposit into that confidence bucket or that bank, and then because of that deposit we take more action. And I think that is how you stay on this consistent path of growth and self-discovery, if you will, as an individual and as a mother, especially through motherhood though, because there are so many, we do give so much of ourselves to others, and there's so many layers to what it means to be a mother, and it's such a selfless job like we kind of talked about earlier. And so the confidence code is the result of me understanding that and me wanting to put together a very strategic kind of take action blueprint, if you will, of it's much easier said than done to just take action and then feel confident as a result of it. It's like, okay, but the taking action piece is what's paralyzing me. So how do I work through my limiting beliefs? How do I even understand what they are? How do I understand what my fears are that are holding me back? How do I work through them? How do I overcome them? How do I focus on my mind and kind of shifting my perspective and the lens that I'm looking at what it means to take care of my mind and body, and not focusing on the weight loss or the clothes, but instead how I feel and how I'm serving myself in that capacity. And then past that, now that we've done the hard work, that the gritty work is what I like to call it, of unpacking some of our experiences and understanding the stories that we've attached to those experiences that basically lead us to understanding why we are the way that we are. We give ourselves permission to be that person. Then I walk them through kind of the strategy, the morning routine, the managing your priorities, time blocking your schedule, the logistics that we oftentimes get so wrapped up and focused on, kind of like I was talking about earlier. We get so wrapped up on the thing that we do or do not know how to do that we're not able to stay consistent long term because we're not addressing all the hard work over here. So that is what the confidence code is. It is a blueprint of walking you through how to do the gritty hard work, so that then when I teach you the strategy, you're able to implement it for literally the rest of your life, because this is a life journey that we're on. And like I said, life is always going to be happening for us. So then we feel equipped with kind of this toolkit of knowing how to kind of coach ourselves through every season.
I love that because, like you said earlier, it's not just a switch. And I think a lot of times people either think once they do this grand gesture, it's going to be like a switch and it's going to be easy from then on, or it's this huge undertaking where it's very overwhelming. And so making the first step is scary. So the fact that you kind of break it apart into different segments and a learning process and something that they can take with them, for years to come, I think that's really powerful, because it can be overwhelming when you're like, I'm going to make a change. Who's gonna, how I have to drive myself to do this change. No one is gonna, hold my hand. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, we have to be self-aware, self-motivated. We also have to feel like we have enough time to do this work and to make the changes, because especially as moms, we don't have a lot of time. So how do I, without adding something else to my plate, how do I truly make myself a priority in the way that I know I need to, and find the time to do so that I can become the best version of me for my family?
For moms listening, we kind of talked about people pleasers and being people pleasers. And I feel like it's really hard, like when we're kind of talking about recovering people pleasers. So people pleasers that are very aware that they are. So for those listening that are people pleasers, maybe they're moms that are, I know I need to make a change. What tip can you give to them, just about, always putting others in front of themselves? Just a general tip for them to kind of grow in themselves, have more confidence, and kind of ignore that voice that says, like, if you're not taking care of other people, like, who will do it? And what's the other thing? Like, it's kind of selfish to take care of yourself. So
Not guilt.
Yes. Yes.
The mom guilt. Yeah, that's something that I have conversations around a lot because I feel like that is the struggle. It is how do I take the time to pour into me when I could be spending time with my kids, or I could be, you know,
Mhm.
fill in the blank of all of the selfless acts that we do as moms that force us to put other people before ourselves. And to that, I think my one tip is, this was kind of a shift that I had that really helped me, when I was in those moments of like, you could be getting your workout done right now and reading your book or journaling, but also like maybe you should go do this kind of a thing. So what I tell myself every time I find myself in that moment is, I remind myself that when I am focused on pleasing others or serving others before I serve myself, I'm literally making someone else a higher priority over me. When I truly know that at my core, me being the top priority then allows me to serve others in a better capacity. It's totally goes back to that really cliche depiction of you can't pour from an empty cup kind of a thing.
Mhm.
I think if you literally went into your kitchen, I feel like that's something, it's easy to kind of roll your eyes at that because we hear it so often. But if you go into your kitchen and you have a cup and it's literally empty and you pump it upside down, literally nothing can come out. So kind of putting yourself in that visual space of understanding that you literally cannot give what you want. All of these pieces of yourself that you feel like are missing, as far as you're not being able to be present with your kids because you're thinking about a million different things and making the doctor's appointment, and you need to order clothes for winter, or whatever the case may be. The things that are stealing your joy from your life are only going to be able to be changed if you are able to pour from a cup that has something in it, period.
Mhm.
So, and I think that is relevant if we're talking about putting others before ourselves in our home. But then if we think about people pleasing from kind of a more external environmental perspective, for me, it was always like living in this space of fear of judgment, which I think comes from kind of being a people pleaser too, being so afraid about what other people were going to think about me if I was, doing something that didn't align with what they thought I should be doing.
Mhm.
And I think that tip that I gave earlier really speaks volumes to that, when you think about the fact that you're literally making someone else who you probably don't even really care about that much more of a priority than yourself, when you put their expectations or their judgment of you ahead of your own. And when you say that out loud, just like when you go into the kitchen and you try to pour the empty cup out and nothing comes out, I think when you really put those concepts into perspective, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, no,
Mhm.
it makes no sense that I'm not living my life in a way that aligns with how I want to. So I think just getting really tangible with, once again, it's like I feel like so many of us know what it is that we need to do. We just don't do it. So
Mhm.
being very tangible and practical with what it is that we already know and putting it into a perspective, and looking at it through a lens that allows us to feel the change that we want to make. I think too, another tip would be, we have to focus on kind of the pain, that what the pain feels like for us to stay the same versus what we have to gain if we change, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. So instead of focusing on like, if I can make myself a priority, or if I could find more time, then this is how my life would look different. That's not going to be enough for us to take action. But what will be enough for us to take action is us focusing on how we feel right now. We feel like we're drowning. We feel like we're not able to be present. We feel like we don't have enough hours in the day, like life is passing us by. Those emotions that are triggered from those thoughts, that's going to be enough to force us to change. So don't focus on where you want to be going. Focus on where you're at right now and allow that to be enough to force the change.
Yeah, I love that. And I think too, making those small changes and feeling like how good you're gonna feel, that's a great point about like not getting overwhelmed with this idea of who you want to be, but kind of getting like looking around and seeing like, is this how you want to wake up and feel every morning? And knowing that there is a way to feel better for sure. How can women cultivate confidence in their own lives and encourage others to do the same? So I know we kind of talked about like your confidence plan. So if they can leave with a tip today that they can start feeling more confident, what would that tip be?
Take small action. Small action. You can't get overwhelmed and wrapped up in all of the things that you need to change or need to do. I'm sure we could all sit down and write out a laundry list of things that we wish we could be better at, right? I wish I could keep my house cleaner. I wish I had more time to play with my kids. I wish I was a more intentional wife, all of the things. Just focus on small shifts. And that's what we really focus on in the confidence code is, of course we work through. I know that taking action is so much easier said than done, but if you can get to the root of those limiting beliefs and those fears, if you can learn how to coach yourself through any situation, because motherhood is unpredictable, and if you can get into a routine that focuses on you serving yourself, you can just start by small shifts, small action. I was talking with one of my clients yesterday actually, and she was walking me through how she just feels like she can't get anything done if her house isn't organized. Like if she has these 3 or 4 tasks that she wants to get done for maybe, work or for the kids or whatever, if the house is chaos, if nothing is where it belongs, she just feels so bogged down and it's all that she focuses on. So then she doesn't do anything. She paralyzes herself from doing anything.
Mm.
And so I kind of walked her through like, okay, here's the thing. You don't have time unless you have godsend parents or in-laws that live close to you to come take the kids for a full Saturday. You're not ever going to have time to clean your entire house in one sitting unless I don't know, like maybe both kids nap at the same time or something, but most of us don't have time to do that. So you're aware of that, that, you understand that. So are you going to forever allow your house not being in order to prevent you from taking action? Instead, what if you came up with a strategy to maybe every day during the week, you spent 10 minutes just cleaning one thing. So then at the end of the week, your whole house has been touched. It's probably not all completely spotless and organized at the same time because you're doing it piece by piece, but maybe that will help you kind of fulfill that piece of you that's like, I have to do the housework before I can make the doctor's appointments and, do all of these other things. So we came up with a strategy of like, okay, on Mondays, we're going to clean the toilets, not all of the bathrooms, not the entirety of the bathroom, just the toilets. And then on Tuesday, we're going to wipe down the appliances in the kitchen. And, over time, what she will start to feel is confident in her ability to keep her home while she alleviates that stress and pressure of feeling like she can't, work or make the doctor's appointments because of the home being chaotic. And then because of that small, super simple action, she starts to feel more confident in her ability to work and keep her home or do the kid stuff and keep her home instead of just feeling paralyzed by the pressure. So long story long, just take small action and that will compound over time to create massive change.
Oh, I love that. So for days, because we all have those days like, where we're just like, I don't feel like doing anything, or we kind of fall back into our old ways. So I'm curious for you and then anyone listening, like, what do you do like when you kind of feel like you're maybe falling back into like a day where you're just like, I don't feel like doing any of it, or you're just kind of like having an off day? What do you do for those days?
The first thing that I do is I write it out. I journal it down. And journaling is something that, and I talk about this in the course too, something that I always struggled with because I guess it's my personality type. I don't know, but I have tried journaling for years, for a really long time. And I just felt like I couldn't get it down because we have all of these thoughts and feelings like swirling around in our minds, right? And whenever I would go to put it on paper, I was so focused on making sure the sentences made sense and punctuation and like write all the logistics of what I was writing that I never truly got everything out of my head. And so in the course, I teach you to, you know, take your pen, hold your pen, and literally allow whatever is going on up in your head to go down your head, through your neck, down your shoulder, down your arm, to the pen, through the tip of the pen, and put your pen on that paper and do not pick it up. Set a timer for 5 minutes and do not pick your pen up. And once I really allowed myself to journal from that space and get everything out of my head, which oftentimes is all that we need to change our behavior, especially on those days where maybe we're falling back into old habits or we're really struggling to take action in any capacity, we feel lighter because it's out of our heads. The paper doesn't have to make sense. Nobody's going to read it. It's just a matter of literally focusing on getting those thoughts out of our heads, down our arms, out of the pen, onto paper, and not allowing ourselves to overthink what we're doing by taking our pen off. And so whenever I'm having an off day, I immediately grab a notebook, my journal, a pen. I set a timer for 5 minutes, and whatever I'm thinking, however I'm feeling, just comes out of my head through my arm onto the paper. And then I'm able to, once that's done, my timer goes off. I set my pen down and I take a step back. And even though I can't probably read what I just wrote because it's like chicken scratch and it doesn't make sense, I feel lighter. I feel clearer. I feel less bogged down. And I'm able to ask myself those kind of clarity questions that we have to ask of, okay, why am I feeling this way? What's triggering me to feel like my old self? What strategies have I learned over time, to take? What do I know I need to do to not feel this way right now? Things like moving my body for 10 minutes, maybe going outside and just letting the sun hit your skin, drinking, 16 ounces of water, maybe eating a healthy meal. There's so many strategies and resources and tools that add to this kind of toolkit along the way of life that you just need to be looking at with a clear perspective and a clear lens in order to take action and not feel paralyzed by those old feelings kind of creeping in. And so that would definitely be like, when I find myself in those moments, that's exactly what I do. And I think too, it kind of comes, I think consistency and longevity is kind of the key with a process like this, right? You have to stay consistent with the action that you're taking, longevity for long enough so that you literally have to retrain your brain to think differently so that when you're in those moments, you can almost immediately catch it, journal it out, and then take action. That's not easy. It's especially not easy if you haven't really done the work to kind of retrain the way that your brain thinks. But something that has always helped me too is reminding myself, like let's say 3 years ago when I was really in the trenches of this, becoming a mother and like trying to figure out how to find myself again and make time for the things that mattered so that I didn't completely lose myself. It was a matter of reminding myself that, at that point I was 29 years old. So it was like, okay, Beth, you're essentially undoing 29 years of bad habits or habits in general. And you're having to retrain the way that your brain has always, the way that you've always thought for 29 years. And so that takes time and it takes consistency over time. So giving yourself that grace to figure it out along the way, but knowing that the only way to figure it out is to do.
Yeah, it's funny you're talking about earlier how a lot of times we know like deep down what to do and we just don't do it. Because as you're talking about journaling, I'm like, I need to journal more. Cause like I always talk about journaling and I have like a morning journal where I will like do like a little prompt, but like the whole like unloading kind of journal, like they're so powerful. Cause when I have done it, I like feel like you said, like you feel amazing after because you don't realize all like the jumble you're like holding up in your head sometimes. So that's an amazing tip.
Call that a brain dump.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Or like a thought dump or a thought audit. That's kind of a unique way to think about it. Just like literally getting out of your head because you don't realize how these little thoughts like, I need to do that load of laundry today. I need to make that appointment. I need to reach out to her. I need to schedule this for the kids. I need to put dinner in the crock pot. I need to unload the dishwasher. There's small tasks that probably only take 2 or 3 minutes most of the time, not all the time. But because there's so many of them and they're not organized, it just feels like something that I hear a lot from moms is like I'm running around with it like a chicken with my head cut off. That's what it feels like. So when you can get them out, just get them out, then you feel like you can actually do something about them and they don't keep compounding.
Yeah. Sometimes like seeing it visually is like, okay, wait, it all fit on one piece of paper, or, it's like, okay, I can check these off now.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I always like to end these interviews with fun thinking questions. So if you could share one tip with moms everywhere, I know you've said so many awesome tips today, but this could be like an overall tip or can be in, regards to the confidence code as well. But if you could share one tip with moms everywhere, what would you have it say?
I would say it's a quote actually that I feel like I have written everywhere. Like I have custom journals with this quote on here. I have it written right here on a post-it on my desktop. And that is, she believed she could, so she did. And I think that is just like, that is it. You have to believe that you are capable of fill in the blank, whatever change it is that you're wanting to make in your life, to prioritize yourself, to find yourself again amidst motherhood, to start a business, to get the promotion, to speak up, to whatever the case may be. You have to believe that you can. And when you act from that space, you always will. So that would definitely be like my one tip.
I love that. I think I have something in here too with that on it. I love, yeah, because that's something that's it sounds simple. Obviously, there's more to it, but it's true. Like you have to believe in yourself. You have to be your own biggest cheerleader and just do it. I
Yeah.
love that. So, of course, where can everyone follow you? Where can they get the confidence code and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I think that the easiest place to find me is over on Instagram. My Instagram handle is I am Beth Isbell. That's BETHISBELL. I have a link in my bio with all of my, coaching opportunities with the confidence code, free webinars that are focused on helping you cultivate confidence, all of that fun stuff. So definitely Instagram, the link in my bio is the easiest place to find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was like so awesome. I feel like a lot of moms are really going to benefit from it. And I hope they go check out the confidence code because this is huge and it's so important for moms.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
All right, for this week's Mom Tales of the Week, we asked, how did you come up with a name for your child? And we got a lot of great responses. There were so many. It was really hard to pick my favorite ones. So if you are in the Facebook group or on social media, check it out because a lot of people shared some really cool stories, how they came up with the names. So if you're currently pregnant and you need some ideas, there's a lot of great ideas out there. Okay, here we go. Number 1, Jade. My husband and I got engaged right as the pandemic hit. We realized that tomorrow isn't promised, and instead of getting married by Halloween, we planned our elopement in 4 days to be married in May of that year. We flew out to Colorado, and after trying so many counties to get a marriage license, we finally found one. We found a beautiful cabin to stay in the town of Lyons, Colorado. We knew immediately that this was special and both agreed if we had a boy when the time came, we would drop the S and change the pronunciation and we would name him Lion, pronounced Leon. I got pregnant 4 months later with our baby boy. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, wait, so I missed her pronunciations earlier. So they got married in Lyons and they just changed it slightly to be pronounced Leon, but Lyon. So that's really cute. I love when it's a story that has to do with their relationship. I think that's so unique. And I've never seen a spelling or a name like that. Okay, number 2, Tara. We were all watching the Marvel movies and we loved Agent Coulson's character. I later had several dreams that we named our son Coulson. Later we found out that Coulson is a variant of Nicholas. What? I did not know. Wait, Coulson and Nicholas. Oh, that would make sense. Never knew that. So we later found out Coulson is a variant of Nicholas. Wow, I'm gonna be like hearing that differently now. Which my mother-in-law loved for my husband, but ended up naming him something different. So our son is Coulson Andrew. Together the names mean victorious warrior. Oh, that's sweet. I'm still shocked that Coulson is a variant of Nicholas. Since when? When did that happen? I don't know. Okay, number 3, Sarah. My son Lorimer is named after my dad. He died in 2017 of cancer, and my baby was born in 2020. It's a South African name. My dad was born and raised there until he came to the U.S. with his family. That's so sweet, keeping his name alive and sharing it for generations. I think that's cool. And it's such a unique name, at least, out here in the US. Number 4, Rita. My oldest daughter was conceived in Hawaii, so I chose Kelani. Oh, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's really pretty. Kelani. It means the sea and the sky in Hawaiian. My youngest, Alexis, is named after my mom who passed away in 2015. Also, that's kind of similar with carrying on family generational names, people that passed on. All right, number 5, Cece. I'm naming my baby Theory Xena. Honestly, I just wanted her to have a memorable name, something that makes people think about her as an individual. I've never met or heard of a person, my baby's name. I just want her to feel unique, powerful, and her own person. I love that. I think unique names is something really special and like being celebrated more and more now, just because, growing up, sometimes I would have like 5 of the same name in my class, or I don't want to call anyone out. There's just a lot of really popular names. So I think it's always cool to have some really unique names that will stand out and everyone will know who she is. So that's cool. Number 6, Kayla. Breck Bryan. We got married in Breckenridge, Colorado. Bryan is a shared name with my husband and father-in-law. I love the name Breck. I've never heard that before, but I think that's super cute because it's kind of like Brock. But I love Breckenridge, Colorado. I was actually just there a couple weeks ago. Love Colorado. So that's so cool. Again, using like the town you got married in to somehow turn it into your baby's name. I love that. All right, number 7, Nicole. Our admin for our group, Nicole Broussard. My daughter is named after my cousin, Laura Kate, sister, Jessica Lynn, and my grandpa, Wendell Ray. Her name is Caitlin Ray. So she told me about this. So she mixed her cousin's name with her sister's name. So Caitlin and Ray. It's really pretty. I love that. And she did it in like a unique twist of like blending names together. I think that's really cool. Number 8, Andrea. My daughter's name is Nevaeh. It's heaven spelled backwards. And her middle name is Ulani, meaning heavenly beauty, for my mother that passed away when I was 18 from breast cancer. So I'm honoring my mom, plus I look like my mom and my daughter looks identical to me. So proud mama over here. It's like seeing my mom all over again. That is so sweet. I love that. Heavenly beauty. I've never heard of that name before. So I think it's super unique. So it's Nevaeh Ulani. I think that's super pretty and that's unique. Like I said, it's going to stand out. And I love the story behind it. Okay, number 9, Minerva. Minerva is the Roman goddess of wisdom. The gods had a contest to see who could create the most useful item for humans. Neptune made a horse. Definitely a very useful animal for the ancients. Minerva, however, created the olive tree. Olive oil was very important to Mediterranean cultures. As we can see from the fact that Minerva was declared the winner of the contest, so my daughter is Olivia Jules. Jules is the nickname that I've always gone by that came from Julia, a name that the kids needed to pick in middle school Spanish class. First of all, Minerva is a beautiful name. I've never heard that name before. And I love that you kind of tied your names together with a beautiful story of Roman goddesses. So love that. That's, super unique. I love that. Okay, number 10, Anonymous. My firstborn is Genesis Arthur. I was in a domestic violence situation with my ex-husband and we divorced. So Genesis was my new beginning. Oh, I love that. And Arthur comes from my grandfather's middle name. My second is Gabriel Ari. My mom named him Gabriel because I couldn't come up with another boy name that I loved. So she picked it for me and loved it after he was born. And Ari comes from Ariel, which is Hebrew lion, lioness of God, which is my dad's middle name, Ari. And both out of Hebrew names, Ariel. I love that. I think there's a lot of passing on names from generation and just kind of finding what works for your family. I think there's a lot of people that will wait until they see the baby. There's a lot that have thought of the baby's name, ever since they knew they were going to have kids and beyond. So I think it's just so cool to hear how people come up with their names. And like I said, this was a very popular thread in our group. So if you want to read more or share your own baby stories, comment below here or read that thread in the group. We have so many to share. Thanks to everyone that shared their story about how they came up with the name for their kids. Like I said, I love hearing these names. I love hearing stories behind it, and this was definitely a fun one to read. Just a reminder, we post new questions on our social media every Friday. So check out our social media and our Facebook group this Friday for a new Mom Tales question. And we just might read your answer next week on our episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Hey guys, if you found this or any episode of Mom Talks with Christa helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and of course, share it with your friends. We release new videos every single Wednesday, and our new podcast is out every single Thursday. So lots of different ways you can catch us. And of course, if you're not following us on our socials, go ahead and follow us there. We've got tons of new content for you every single day. And finally, if you're watching this and doubting yourself, you're doing a great job. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.